Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. And what are we getting back into? We are getting back into Married at First Sight Australia. We are now on series 11 episode 12. Before we get into this, because we have a lot to talk about, because some of these people are from a different planet, like seriously from a different planet. As I always say, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so when you know I'm on and doing videos. And let's get into this episode, shall we? Well, it's the second dinner party, so let the games begin, okay? So Tori apparently had a run-in with Tim, and Tori's basically pissed in the fact that Tim has said a few choice things about Jack and what Jack is saying in regards to their marriage. So Tori then turns around and uses the age-old adage of saying he's only saying this because he's not happy in his marriage and he doesn't even like his wife. Again, pot calling kettle black. Because I'm like, my girl Tori, your man don't like you. Like, your man don't really want to get to the whole nookie sexual thing with you because he doesn't feel that from you. He doesn't feel it for you in the slightest. He's hoping to push it to there, but he doesn't want to. Right now, Jack is playing a dangerous game because he is playing with Tori's emotions. Yeah, because he wants Tori to need him, to want him, to desire him. He don't want to give that to her. Jack asked Tori what Tim said, and basically Tori was paraphrasing and said that Tim said that Jack doesn't like her. And then Jack had the audacity to go for the jugular and started questioning his character and basically saying that if things come out, then he will have no just cause but to defend Tori in that sense. And I'm like, but the man's telling the truth. You don't like her, you don't like Tori. The man is telling the truth. So I don't understand where Jack is now trying to seal and compartmentalize what he's saying outside of his marriage to these people. Again, full of bullshit. And I'm telling you from now, I can't abide Sarah. I don't like Tori, I don't like Jack, and I don't like Ben, and Tim is kind of tipping the balance for me at the moment because sometimes his attitude can stink, especially when he starts impacting on Lucinda, because I like Lucinda. She is such a genuine character. She has not changed herself for anybody up in there. She's been herself all the way through. Lucinda then has her golden eggs that she's going to shake or lay when she gets to the dinner party. Sarah and Tim are in separate apartments getting ready. That does not surprise me in the slightest because Sarah is full of shit herself and thinks she doesn't have any accountability in the situation that's happened between her and Tim at the moment. Tim is the one that is open. Sarah for me is the one that is closed and doesn't really give anything to Tim, as again except to talk over him and talk for him. And again, I will put it out there, I still feel that Sarah is in actual cahoots with her ex and she never really wanted to give Tim a chance once that had happened. Yeah, that's going to come out. It's going to come out. It will. As I said in my previous, it's going to come out. It will. The problem with Sarah is she likes to read Tim too much and doesn't really know him. She likes to talk about how sensitive he is and how needy he is, and she technically doesn't want to be around him when he's being that way. And I'm like, my love, you were the one that asked him to be more assertive. My man took the assertiveness with intent and booked 3 dates with you. You fucking cancelled on him on each and every fucking date, albeit conveniently going out the night before with your friends and getting pissed up in the way that you got pissed up. Do I believe that she actually went out with friends? No, I don't. I think she was probably meeting her ex. I don't believe she was out with her friends in the slightest. I really don't. I really don't. How she's behaving and how she's coming across, I think she has something to hide. Sarah has something to hide, and the closest person to you is the one that's going to get the brunt of your frustration and your anger and the fact that you're the one that's feeling shit for doing something towards them, but then you're going to make that person feel shit about themselves. Sarah's hiding. Sarah's hiding, and Tim is definitely better off without her. No, Ben. is going to get it. Ben is going to get it tonight with the comments that he's made to Ellie and the comments that Ellie has told the girls he has made. The same with Tori and Jack. They're going to get it too, but they're going to get it from Tim. So Tim basically is going to start a ruckus. We know he's going to start a ruckus because he's off. He's already happy the fact that he's told Tori X, Y, and Z in regards to Jack. For some reason, Tim has got it out for them too. Don't ask me why, but he does. So we get to the dinner party. I don't even know why Tim and Sarah came in the same car, because if hell could have frozen over, you would have thought that them two was frozen solid. The reception was icy as hell. Again, I question why Sarah is there. I do. So then you see Tori and Jack together, and Tori makes a comment, oh, he's got his wedding ring on, aren't I lucky? So I'm like, okay then, so Jack takes off his wedding ring. I've not really noticed because I don't really look at their hands, but apparently Jack must be taking off his wedding ring for Tori to say that, you know, he's finally got it on his finger. And then he says to her, it's part of the wedding contract in our marriage, and Tori says, nice save. I can't say nothing more about them because you lot know how I feel about them two already, like seriously. So then you see Sarah and Tim make the entrance. They're there first, and even the experts say that their entrance was frosty as hell. And all I can say is Tim has done nothing wrong, and this is why I don't understand why Sarah believes that she can act in this way to this man. He ain't done fuck all to you. It's you doing the shit to him. And he's actually coming out and telling you you're doing this. You don't, you know what? Sarah does not like to be reprimanded for nothing. You can tell she doesn't. She doesn't like to accept responsibility for nothing or accountability for nothing when it comes to herself, but expects everybody else to do it around her. Like, really expects everybody to do it around her. So you see Lauren and Jonathan enter. And they entered just as Tim and Sarah decided that they were going to have a talk about the situation. I don't know why Sarah started the conversation in regards to the situation between themselves at the beginning of the dinner party, because that was not the done and just thing. You should have waited. You should have either have done that before the dinner party or on a drive to the dinner party. Why wait when you get in there waiting for everybody to enter to start having a chat? So Lauren and Jonathan knew that something was going on in between them and knew that they were having some kind of argument. So basically Lauren talks about her intimacy week, but with a joke, and said it was awful. But her and Jonathan were joking with each other. So in come Andrea and Richard, then Jaden and Eden walking, Cassandra and Tristan walking. The lads, I like the fact that they had that conversation together with Tristan, Jonathan, I think it was Jonathan, Tim and Richard, breathing life back into Tristan and saying, come on, my dude. Jonathan said, when you put yourself down, especially in front of your friends, it makes us feel bad too. And they had a good chat with him and bigged him up, and I liked that. I liked it. So Jack and Tori comes in. I swear they really do think a lot of themselves. And basically they're trying to say that Tim is trying to rip them apart because he's not happy in his own marriage. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know where they're getting this impression from. Why is it when people actually have an opinion about how you two are, or how Jack is outside of your marriage, when he's talking to everybody else and he's not showing you what he's showing you in front of your face, so you're getting a different view of how Jack is being, yeah, that you think people want to tear your relationship apart? No, it's because Jack is an arse. It's because Jack is being two-faced to you, and that's why it needed to come out into the forefront. Tim ain't fussed about his fucking marriage. Tim will burn his marriage to the fucking ground right about now, and you could see that throughout the dinner party that he literally was embarrassing Lucinda. And it's the fact that them two were going at it, and Tori was picking at him via making jabs through Lucinda in his marriage, and literally forgetting that actually Lucinda's a person sitting there and she's getting hurt every time you keep doing that shit, but nobody's taking any motherfucking notice, least of all Tim. Then in walks Lucinda and her golden eggs, and she shakes it like a maracas. Tim hugs Tori, and yes, it was a cold reception because Tori was ready to throw down. Let's just put it that way. Tori was ready to throw down. Did I think she got the best of Tim in that conversation? No, I don't. But Tim did kind of stutter within the scenario of that conversation, because then Lauren decides to pipe up and talk about how the fact that, you know, the girlfriends that he made, that he had and he did walk away from, were just not for him. And she turned around and she said, oh, would that be the 23-year-old? What business is it of anybody else's on how old, unless they were not past the age of consent, that Tim is going out with? Why would you throw that in the mix, Lauren? Because that had nothing to do with nobody else and didn't have anything to do with the conversation that he was talking about at that point in time. So that was a little bit messy from Lauren. So now you see Al and Ben walking, and they come in with this big old facade, happy smiles on their faces, holding hands, looking good. Now the thing with me with Al is the fact that on the way to the dinner party, she's talking about how, you know, she may have said certain things to the girls and know that Ben is going to get the brunt of that, but essentially now they've worked things out between each other, so she is not going to take it too kindly if they continue to go in on Ben, because she will say, hold on, and I'm like, Ben's a big enough man, he can defend himself. At the end of the day, you don't need to defend him, because at the end of the day, you said what you said because you were upset by what he did to you. You said that in front of a group of girls that's going to have your back regardless. So of course it's to be expected that Ben is going to be questioned about the shit that he said to you and how he's behaved with you at the end of the day. So as they come in, the girls have called Ellie over. Ben is on the opposite side looking absolutely shook. Now somebody tell me why Ben then makes his way, as Ellie's sitting down to get comfortable to try and talk to them, he makes his way over under the guise of saying hello to, I think it may have been Tim at that point, then standing right near where Ellie is trying to be comfortable with the girls and talk, to listen to what it is that Ellie's going to be saying to them. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not controlling the narrative that way, my love. They saw right through that. Lauren and Sarah saw right through that. And Ellie really did wanted to have a discussion with them and tell them where things were and what was happening now. So what Lauren did, which was good of her, was get Ellie up and say, come on, let's go sit over there. Because if they moved over to the opposite side and Ben followed them, then, you know, this man don't want this girl to talk. Like, he's literally going to control the narrative and stop her from talking about situations that have happened between themselves. So Ben watches as they walk off, and you can see Ben still looking, even though he's pretending to speak to the other guys where he's had to now stay, and he's looking hella nervous. Ellie then tells the girls that Ben turned around to her and said to her, do you think that I am your match? We are not a match. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this man? Like, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with these people? They're acting like they are on a level when they are not. I'm like, sometimes, why do some of these women follow the lead of these prick of a men, yeah, who don't really want them, and shows them continuously within their speeches, within how they talk to them, within what they say, within their behaviours, that they don't necessarily want them, that they're not being genuine in their forthright emotions. So now Ellie's saying that they reconnected on Saturday night, and now Ellie believes him because apparently he came in, he brought her flowers, he treated her nice, said all these nice things, and now he's saying that he wants kids. I'm just, yeah. I'm just, come on. You can't want a man that bad. Like, seriously, you can't want a man that bad to literally shut down your own principles for the bullshit of a person that's giving you good comments and roses. There's got to be more about it. More about it. Ben's talking to Richard. Ben is not too bothered about what Richard is saying, because he's too busy trying to see what's happening across the way with Ellie and the girls. So he turns around and he says that they're doing well, they're doing good. And I'm thinking, this man's just full of bullshit. His head is in the motherfucking clouds. And Ellie's there on the flip side telling the girls that she believed that she would be having babies with this man. And I'm like, Ellie, come on. Ellie, come on. So Sarah basically believing that Ben is being strategic and that they don't trust him. She tells this Ellie. Ellie tries to shut that conversation down. And I'm just like, at the end of the day for Sarah, yes, I understand you're protecting your friend, but also you need to be conscious of the bullshit that you play with Tim, because it's not all rosy on your side either. So whatever you're saying about Ben is the same kind of thing that you're doing to your fella, to be fair. So then the dinner starts. So Lauren is fired up and she's ready to go for Ben. So she goes off and tells Ben across the table that Ellie has disclosed certain things to them and basically wants to know what Ben's views are in regards to it. Ben don't say nothing. And I'm like, my man, you had all this chatter on the way to the dinner in this car. You were going to do X, Y, and Z, say X, Y, and Z, and now you, man can't talk, him tongue drop out. He don't know how to speak. Like, seriously doesn't know how to speak. So Ellie then jumps into Ben's defense, saying that Ben expected some of these questions. And I'm like, nah, man, Ellie, don't defend this man, because he was big and bad in doing what he did to you in his mistreatment of you. So he should deal with the consequences as they lay at the end of the day. So this man needs to open his mouth, not hide behind you, because you're now being the mouthpiece in defending his clot, when in actuality he shouldn't have done what he did. So I'm sorry, your friends are right in pulling this man to task, because if you're not going to do it, they are going to do it. Ellie was basically saying that she feels overwhelmed by the whole situation. And Ben was just looking hot. He was looking hot. So Eden said to Ellie and Ben that Ellie will say one thing, but then Ben will say something completely different. And I'm like, Ben is not escaping this chat. He's not. And still then Ben ain't saying nothing. So Ben then says he was nearly going to walk out of the experiment because the pressure got to him. Bullshit. Laura then turns around and calls him out on his bullshit. And he sits there and I'm like, this man has no voice. His voice has completely lost him. And I was sitting there at the TV saying, come on then, Ben. Come on. Defend yourself. Ellie again comes to his defense. So they ask Ben, is Ellie your match? There was a long-rotted hesitation. Then he says, yeah. And all of them said, we don't believe it. Don't believe it. So Ben turns around and starts saying, well, we get along. This, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Ellie's cousin Jordan was right about Ben. He was right about Ben. Because he just sits there and keeps calling Ellie sensitive and emotional all the time. So Ellie is under the impression that Ben now wants children. He then said he's ready to settle down and if kids come after that. And I'm like, no, my guy. No, my guy. You said you wanted kids with Ellie. You said you were ready to settle down and do the whole gamut with her because, you know, you had this epiphany that, you know, this is where your life was going after speaking to your sister-in-law and hearing her children in the background. So Jonathan then tells him, you've not really answered the questions because it is a yes or no answer. Ben tried to make another excuse. I was like, Ben doesn't want Ellie. Ben don't want no children. Ben don't want to leave the experience because he needs the exposure for his business, right? Lauren again told him to communicate. And again, Ellie said that she will leave if he does not want children. He turned around and said, in time will tell. Ben's full of shit. Like, Ben's full of shit. And it's just a shame that Ellie literally can't see through his bullshit. Like, seriously. So then it moves on and you can see Tim is literally champing at the bit to say something. You hear, I don't know who Tori was talking to, but she was talking about the cupping stuff. I think she may have been talking to it across the table in regards to, with Lucinda about the cupping stuff and how she was feeling all of these emotions and like she wanted to get it on there, and Jack wasn't necessarily saying anything. Tim turned and jumped in that conversation and said bullshit. I'm like, really, Tim? Like, really you're gonna cut across your wife like that and then just shout bullshit in front of that conversation? So Tim turns around and says that we are all judging each other and make no mistake about it. Tori then responds with, no, she has not judged anyone around the table. I said, my girl, please. You have judged these relationships around the table because you and Jack seems to think that you are the strongest couple out of other couples. And in order for you to deduce that, you had to judge yourselves against all the other couples in the experiment. So don't lie all your motherfucking life, my love. Don't lie. Tim turns around and said, it's an observation. So basically, Tim is basing it on the sex, that they have no sex in their relationship, that is fake. Because he's basically saying that Tori is a sexual being, Jack is a sexual being, but it's just not, it's not happened between the both of them. And I thought at this point, Tim, you need to look closer to home, because Lucinda is very much a sexual being and she's having to dial the essence of her back for you. And used to have not consummated your marriage either. So no. You can't throw that dart out there to Tori and Jack. You could have at least said what he actually said within the group when you was with Alessandra, in terms of he don't find her sexually attractive. That's what you could have fucking pulled out, but he actually didn't pull that out, which I was quite shocked with. Says, as far as a slow burn, all his relationships started off as a friendship. And he can definitely see a bond happening with Lucinda because she's a gentle soul. That's the bit where Lauren blew out. Well, wasn't the person he's with at 23. Doesn't matter. Does not matter at the end of the day. Has no bearing on what they're discussing right now. So Tim thinks Jack and Tori are on their way out. Those are strong words. I do think those are strong words. And I don't think Tori and Jack will be on the way out, because Tori will play this out to the end. Tori will play this out to the end, all in the hopes and the belief that her and Jack are going to move on to the next level. That's how I see it going. So no, they're not going to go nowhere. They basically turned around and said that she's not feeling this at all, and she's actually feeling quite hurt in regards to what has been said. And Lucinda turned around and says that she's still assessing whether Tim is for her, and if not, then it's a case of what is she still going to be here in this experiment for? And I'm just like, yes, so leave her be. Leave Lucinda be. Because how he sat there and allowed for Tori to be attacking their marriage and Lucinda directly, even though Tori said no disrespect to Lucinda right after she fucking disrespects her, do you know what I mean? And Tim's allowing that. Jack, might I add, was very, very quiet in the background. That man was quiet as a church motherfucking mouse. Bearing in mind that Tori thought that Jack would have her back and put it to rights because he won't stand for no one lambasting her or upsetting her character. I'm sorry, Tori, your man was quiet. Your man was quiet. Christian and was talking to Cassandra because I think they weren't sitting together. So they were talking behind, I think, Lucinda. I'm not too sure. So they weren't sitting together. And Lauren said that she loved them two both together. And Cassandra was talking about how amazing Tristan is and that they are working on everything to make it work. And Tristan is saying that he is trying to get out of his comfort zone and he wants to also show his love and affection for his wife. So then comes Tim and Sarah. And Tim turns around and says that it has been a few tricky days. And basically they're on different pages in terms of putting in the effort. He says he feels like they are both trying and he's being portrayed as this needy, insecure person, which is true. I don't think they're both trying. I think Tim is literally trying and Sarah is not trying at all. Then Tim lets out about how he was let down after 3 dates. Sarah was looking at him like she didn't know what he was talking about. And this is why I said Sarah, or Sarah, I should say, is the woman version of Ben. Like, she hates being called out. She hates being called out, is atrocious to Tim, and doesn't listen to him. So everyone then looked at her as if to say, hold on a minute, my girl. This man's planned 3 fucking dates and you've cancelled on each and every one of them. And I think Sarah could feel the eyes digging in her as if to say an explanation is needed here. Explanation gung-ho. So Sarah turns around and she says, it's like she's trying and living together with a man 24 hours a day is a lot. And I'm like, you're taking the piece. That is a poor excuse because everybody else is going through the same thing. So that's a poor fucking excuse. So Cassandra then pipes up and said, hold on a minute. He said he's planned 3 dates with you and you cancelled 3 dates. So you literally should be taking your husband as priority to make it work with him. And even all the experts were like, well done, Cassandra. Because I'm like, yeah, somebody needed to say it. Someone needed to say it. Someone needed to fling this in Sarah's face, because at the end of the day, she's seeming to think that Tim's the one at fault when it's not, it's her. So Sarah then tries to make the excuse that they were not in a good place in terms of the first 2 dates. So she was trying to throw this context in there. So that I call bullshit, and Tristan then pipes up and says, hold on a minute, me and Cassandra have had bad weeks, but they still made the effort with each other, even if it is to go down the road or take a walk or do X, Y, and Z. They still made the effort with each other, even when they're in a bad place. So what's your excuse now? Sarah then gets defensive because she doesn't accept nothing that is being said against her at all, because she doesn't want to be the one at fault when she knows that she is. So Tim tries to speak again, and each time she speaks over him, she speaks over him, she speaks over him again and again and again, won't let him talk. So Jack does pipe up and said, let him have a voice. So then Tim elevated his voice, basically shouted to be heard, because when she was getting defensive, she was getting hella loud. She didn't realise that she was getting hella loud too. So then Sarah decides to use that as an excuse then to get all hefty, walk off, say, don't you dare shout at me, don't shout at me, and then freaking walks off and paints herself as the victim in that scenario now. So automatically Tim straight away says, I shouldn't have raised my voice. So again, it's going to be Tim holding out that olive branch to Sarah and making up to her, right? So Tim tells the lads again what's happened, and they understand where Tim is coming from. Sarah is then going off with the girls about never yell in my face again and all da. But even the other girls, even though they're her friends and they're talking to her, they're literally saying as well in their own VCs that at the end of the day, Sarah doesn't seem to realise that she does not listen to him, B, she does kind of talk over him, C, she was getting loud herself, and D, at the end of the day, she needed to hear where this man was coming from too, but she didn't do any of that. And even Tori said, like, she doesn't let Tim finish his sentences and she reacts and won't let him talk at all. So Tim turns around and says that he will apologise to Sarah for raising his voice. And I said, she won't say it back to you, my love. Mark my words, Sarah will not say, I apologise to Tim, because this girl does not think she's done anything wrong. She holds no accountability at all for her actions, and she wants to just lay the blame on Tim. And I've told you already, I know where that is coming from. I swear down. If it don't come out, she's seeing her ex. So Sarah and Tim go for a talk. And Tim does apologise to her for raising his voice, and he wants to work stuff out with her, and all he wants to do is just to be able to talk just like this, so they have potential. She is not bothered in the fucking slightest. She, again, as I already said, she don't apologise to this man for how she reacted and dealt with him. She then goes on a fucking fight and then says to him, you had no reason to react in the way that you happened at all, because Tim was trying to say what caused him to raise his voice. Again, no accountability from this woman. So Tim is saying to her that he doesn't feel like he has any time to talk or have a space in which to talk in. He's tried again to tell her how he feels, and Sarah again shuts him down. Tim is trying to fix the issue, and Sarah won't accept the olive branch that he's giving at that point in time for them to try and fix things at all. So then, as again, because she's talking over him, emotions get heightened. So he starts to raise his voice again. So then Sarah then turns around and walks off. And like, yeah, Tim, you can't win with this girl because there's something else going on with her. There's something else going on with this girl, like seriously. And if I was Tim, I wouldn't work nothing more out with her. It's for her now to come to him and work shit out if that's where she really wants to be. But anyway, that's where the episode ended. As I always say, my renegades, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm doing videos. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.